Round 2 of Season 11, the Invictus Racing League, and this weekend we're here at Austrian. The main waterway of Austria is the Danube River. It's the only river that flows through 10 different countries, but while the boats might be flowing down the Danube, these cars, all 15 of them, are going to be flowing around this 2.68 mile circuit, and we'll do it 36 times, which has 3 DRS zones and top speeds up to 208 miles an hour, and they'll be able to get to that pretty quickly because there's only 10 corners on the track. It's one of the fastest laps in Formula 1. Into turn 3, it's the slowest corner on the track, making it a prime overtaking opportunity. Can't get a move done there. No worries at all. Turn 4 to the rescue. Who can send it down the inside at the beginning of the second sector? And who will hold the inside line? Turn 9, the inside line here will almost always win out. It's one of the fastest corners on the track as well. To the tires then, the C2, the C3, and the C4. We expect it to be a one-stop strategy with the mediums going about 0.8 of a second slower and the hards about 1.2 seconds slower. It should be a soft to medium strategy, but you never know. A safety car around here could really scramble things up, and the wet tires, if we need them, of course, and we might need them today because the weather doesn't seem like it's going to be all that great here in Spielberg. A good weekend last week for Mercedes, who lead the constructors 5 points over Red Bull, and AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo closely in trail, both on 10 points. And Luke, judging after last week's race, especially with last week's race winner not being here today, looks like everything is up for grabs.
Yeah, it's really going to spice things up with the race leader not being here. It means you're going to get another winner for this race, so that's definitely going to make the championship very exciting, and we'll see if it makes a difference towards the end of the season.
Well, it should be really a rush to the end of the season. Miles getting Red Bull on the board with his 12 points to the cause, and Matty getting onto the podium due to penalties. So DJ Danny down to 4th place. Renault not faring as well as they have this time last season. If you remember all the way back, what I would believe that would be January. It was Renault who were atop of the Constructors' Championship. They find themselves 5th right now, courtesy of DJ Danny's 4th place finish. And Rimac 13th for the Scotsman, 0 points for him. And, well, last week it was a good recovery drive for Darnell as well. It wasn't a good qualifying, but he managed to make up the places and find himself back into 8th. The McLarens, Luke, seem to be on the up. We know they have pace. Could this be a track where they can really flex their muscles?
Well, we'll have to wait and see for that one. But last week they had a poor qualifying, and that really did affect them. But they started on the hard compounds, if I remember, and that managed to get them right to the top of the grid before the first pit stop. So, yeah, we'll see. Qualifying is vital. But on this track, you can get away with a poor qualifying. So, yeah, we'll see on that one.
Yeah, 3 DRS zones, some calling for the one on the run down to turn 4 being either shortened or simply just removed. Overtaking opportunities absolutely everywhere. So as you mentioned, if you do start 15th, you might not be in a shout to win the race, but you'll certainly be on, at least for a chance of a healthy dose of points.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned earlier, a safety car can really change things here. And if you get the pit stop at the right time with the right tyres, then you could be well up the grid.
Well, we mentioned AlphaTauri a little bit. Gravity and Buckley, 2 newcomers to IRL, having a decent showing themselves. They are 3rd with Buckley and Gravity finishing 6th and 7th last weekend. We are on our way into Austria now. Looks like HK already left the session, so not a good start for last season's champion.
No, that's a shame. Hopefully it's just technical difficulties and he comes right back in. But talking about Buckley, he had such an interesting race last week. We spoke to him afterwards, and he had a spin, he had punches, he had everything. But he still managed to get into P6, which is quite impressive. So hopefully if he gets a good qualifying here, he should be able to definitely get in that top 5, if not better. And same with Ryan as well. He started P2 and I think he had a poor start, and that pushed him right down to the bottom of the grid. So hopefully this time he can continue his qualifying streak and continue his race streak, which will push him up, especially with his teammate not being here. So it's important for Mercedes to really get a good race tonight.
Yeah, Ryan 97 only managing 9th place for Mercedes. He's the lone Silver Arrows. They've rebranded themselves the Black Arrows, if you want to put it that way as well. But looks like we have one of the Alpha Tauris out on track. It looks like he's F1 Gravity, who has just pulled out of the pit lane. We've seen a few drivers also leave as well. We are getting reports, Luke, light rain all the way through the race. We'll have to see exactly if it puts these cars onto the intermediate tires. But I highly doubt now we're going to see any mediums and any reverse strategies come out into qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be putting on the stops and really pushing for it, especially in the wet. Qualifying is important, and it's important on the wet tyres on this track especially. The hard braking zones going into turn 3, then, you know, spinning out is not out of the question. So they've got to be careful, keep an eye on that.
Well, that turn 9 and turn 10 as well. It's just two super fast right-handers. It's going to be fairly pedestrian compared to well, what it would normally be with a dry track.
Yeah, definitely, and it's definitely going to spice things up, especially the leader will be in here. It's definitely going to really spice things up, so it should be interesting.
It should be a good run indeed, as F1 Gravity is the first man onto his flying lap. Locks up heading to turn 3, runs way off track at that. Do we call it a header pin, or is it just simply a nice healthy 120-degree corner?
Well, that's up for, I would call it 120, but yeah, that's definitely up for debate as he come round to turn 4 and down to turn 5. But yeah, that's up for debate. But he's had a poor lap at the moment, so I'm sure he'll go for another one towards the end of the session.
Drivers out onto the track as well, including the McLarens, which we discussed ahead of time. Jump on board with Ewan. Luke, Austrian, take us for a lap and see how fast it'll be.
Yes, here we are at Austria then. It's very important to get very good exits on this lap of track, even as he comes around turn 1 and well, it's coming up to turn 2 now. Some people don't even call this a corner, this one, as he goes through the first DRS zone. But here he is around turn 2, and then he breaks a really hard braking zone going into turn 3. Really important to get a really good exit on this corner as he hits the second DRS zone. As he comes straight through, full throttle down here, going into quite a quick right-hander of turn 4. You can go quite late on the brakes here as he locks up. That's going to really damage his time. As he goes straight down, it's good to get quite tight in this corner and use a lot of curb. Comes down into turn 5 and turn 6. It's really important, these two corners. This is where the lap is really won and lost, really. As he comes around turn 6, flat out around, taking a lot of curb. And now coming up to quite a tricky right-hander. Really easy on the brakes. And then very hard on the brakes and trying to use less curb as you can as he comes down up to the finish line. Quick and easy onto the DRS protection zone, and they cross the lap with 1.3.
3.5, that's a pretty good banker lap from the McLarens. He's also the first at a timed lap as well. A few drivers invalidating their laps as well. Looks like DJ Danny is about to come around turn 9 and set his first time of the evening. He's down into 6th gear, running right onto that outside curve, doing the exact same thing through turn 10, manages to hold it together. It was second fastest, 6th Liverpool Ewan, which really at this point last season was the gap simply swapped. It was about 6/10 from DJ Danny to Liverpool Ewan the other season. And it just shows, I think, that the McLarens and the everybody's just a little bit tighter this season, and it's going to lend itself to some very, very good viewing. Is Ryan 97, 103.2. So, Luke, we could potentially see some 102s start popping up later on in the session.
Yeah, definitely. Just when the track picks up, but looking at Liverpool Ewan's lap there. You know, he had quite a perfect lap, so I'm sure we could go a lot quicker. Yeah, you're right in saying that. I'm sure we will 1.2s, you know, top 1.2, maybe 0.8. But you know, it should be interesting to see.
Gravity set the fastest first sector so far out of those who have set in the AlphaTauri. We know he has the speed, but can he put in a complete lap? The 50s. Pulling that outside curve, did he keep it together just too far onto the curb? That one won't come out for him in the end. He's gonna just get a little bit tricky. That pit entrance is just in a very, very bad spot, especially for those coming around on fast laps. It's not really the place you want to be. I'm sure hopefully it doesn't really come into play here, but always something to note. So it looks like Miles is trying to get ready for his flying lap, and we'll let looks like the AlphaTauri pass him, the Red Bull of TXT Miles. Looks like he's about to tee up his first flying lap of the afternoon, rounding the final corner. That's wide open for him, 199, 200 miles in the Red Bull. Takes that turn 1 perfectly and into really a poor excuse for a corner. Turn 2 right here. All the way up, rising through the Styrian Hills into turn 3. He goes fastest first sector, a little lockup as well as he heads down into second gear. Up through the gears he goes. DRS open once more. Now into 8th gear. How fast can he get this Red Bull 201 flashed up on the screen there ever so slightly? And this looks like it's going to be a very, very good lap from DXT Miles, who is, well, he was in the Alfa Romeo last season, in the Red Bull this season. Fastest middle sector as well. Into 7th gear, through 8th. Can he get into turn 9? Nice, looks like he has. Doesn't even go below 150 miles an hour. In through turn 10, keeps it together. This could be a stonker lap into second place. Still 2/10 off of the Mercedes of Friday 97. And that lone Mercedes is certainly going to be making up probably the time that his teammate would have had here. 2/10 the gap between first and second. Mercedes still on pole position.
Yeah, it's watching that lap from Miles, and you can see that all the cars are really pushing and lock up. I counted 3 lockups there, and we we were on board with Liverpool U, and there was quite a few lockups as well. So they know wet weather is coming in the race. So yeah, I'm sure they can get into towards the end of the session.
Saw there Mercury go into 4th with a 105 as James F1 arrives on a slight little bit of traffic as he heads into turn 3. No lock up from the racing point though as he heads up through the gears and down the hill once more. Here is wide open. It's interesting to see, Luke. I think because it's such a... Oh, and that's the racing point going around. And just as I was about to say, some drivers might be running a little less downforce than others. James F1 could probably do a little more rear downforce because that was Valtteri Bottas-esque from the racing point.
Yeah, you don't want any of that, especially in the race. But you know, I've noticed that not many drivers have set a first lap. Yeah, only 8 at the moment. And it's just the Ferrari goes whizzing off there. What's that for my game? Oh, he's gone off there. Fermodo's gone off there. But yeah, not many drivers setting there. Surprising. I'm sure there's a lot of invalidation on there, but let's see if that plays a part towards the end of the session.
Yeah, plenty of invalidations, as you mentioned. The Ferrari of Fermodo just heading straight on, it seemed, and retiring from the session. So he will be starting at the back. He failed to set a lap time. And, well, starting at the back, Luke, in wet weather, he's going to have to contend with a fair bit of spray.
Yeah, especially going into turn 1 and the very tricky turn 3. Pretty much watch your braking. If someone brakes out, they're going to be right into their gearbox. So you have to be cautious, especially starting at the back. In first as well, you've got to be careful. One little mistake can cause a massive pile-up. But no, it'd be interesting to see with the wet tyres. Really affect this race, and like we said earlier, if we get a safety car, is likely, then really spice things up.
Ewan goes 2/10 faster than his, moves him up into P2, and Ryan 97 setting it fastest middle sector. Our current pole sitter is out once more. He's about to head through turns 9 and 10. That outside curve, throwing it through turn 9, doing the exact same thing into turn 10. Manages to keep that right front on track. Ryan 97, another 2/10 faster, 103.0. Still 6.5 minutes to go in the session. You'd think the Mercedes might have those party modes here.
Yeah, no, that's a great lap. Yeah, that's a great lap. We'll be hoping for a very good race, especially with that time put on the board there. But we saw it last time, Ryan 96 had a poor first lap, and that put him right down towards the back. I think he damaged his front wing as well in the last week, so he doesn't want that again. And especially with wet tyres, if you have a poor first lap, you'll be sent straight to the back and you have to get through a lot of traffic. So he's going to be cautious of that, but what a great first lap that is for him, and we'll see if he can finish on top towards the end of the session.
He's had 2 runs, so he'll have plenty of... Actually, he won't have plenty of tires because he'll have an extra set of softs that he won't be able to use. And Miles is also back out on track as well, trying to improve on his current second row of the grid. 103.44 tests as he locks up there heading into turn 4. We're seeing quite a bit of lockups. I wonder if it's just maybe over-eagerness heading into these corners, but or is it just really throw the car into the corner, pray it sticks?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just them just trying to go for it. I think trying to get into these corners as quick as possible, late on the brakes as possible, just trying to get the times. It's just really quickly, so they'll know that in the clock and they want to match it. And to do it without locking up is very hard. So that really does affect your time and tyres if you want to go on another run. But another lock up down looking at Buckley at the moment as he tries and goes for his second lap. But yeah, no, it's important that you continue and not do it without lockups, because the lockup will really affect your time.
Well, fastest middle sector from Buckley, a 103.6, his fastest time. Looks like he's certainly going to improve on that. Currently in 8th, the Alpha Tauri. Can he keep it together through the final corner? Does so indeed. DRS open once more. Only 7th place and 2/10 faster. It looks like everybody's improving by about 2/10. We were on board before that with Miles, who moved himself up into 2nd position, improving on his lap by just over 2/10 as well. So it seems like with track evolution, that seems to be the benchmark.
Yeah, it's interesting from Buckley there. He had a great first sector, and I thought he'd be definitely up there into the top 5, but he must have lost a lot of time in sectors 2 and 3. We'll see if he can improve on that.
4 drivers yet to set times as we're on board with Rymac in the Renault, currently in 9th position, a 104.30. Looks like he's back down at this lap after locking up into turn. Other than that, it seems like he's the only one really out on track on the lap. TJ Danny, for his sake, isn't going to be on these tires. 3 laps old. Into the pit lane. And now just because Luke, we wait for, what do you say, about 2 minutes left to go?
Yeah, 2 minutes before they start their final laps. But like mentioned earlier, there's still a lot of drivers yet to put in laps, and they're going to have to be quick. If they make a mistake on this final lap, then that's their qualifying over. So, yeah, they've got to remember that, and I definitely agree with trying to get the lap, as many laps as possible, because if you make a mistake on your final run, then that's it really. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to have that ring in the back of their head, because if they lock up big into turn 3 or anything like that, then that's qualifying over.
Well, Darnell out on track. Looks like James F1 on track as well. He looks to be leading the pack. Has come out. He's known for being the first out, and he has done so indeed here. Holds it together through the final corner and onto his fast lap, but he's going to be towing along. Looks like an Alpha Tauri behind him. So very advantageous for James F1 to be the lead car here. He heads up towards turn 3. Alfa Romeo seems to be getting involved in some of that traffic as well. Or is that potentially an Alpha Tauri? We're still on board here with James F1 as he plunges down the hill into turn 4. Still yet to set a lap, James F1. He had a few pole positions and but never won a race last season. Remember back to Brazil where he qualified on pole but couldn't quite get it together. The safety cars and the strategies didn't work out for him. And still, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, still managed to find himself on a podium. But the big thing for him, no wins yet in IRL as he goes extremely wide and invalidates that lap. That's what you were talking about, Luke. You invalidate your lap, still setting no times, is not going to help you in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Now he has to do with that. More on tyres, set no time. So that's a real upset for him, as you were talking about him getting podiums in seasons before. But that's a real shame. That's exactly what I was talking about. If you make a mistake on this lap, then another lap with more on tyres, which is going to affect your lap time. So yeah, that's an upset for James F1.
Now finally sets a lap of 103.9 from him. Certainly not what he was looking for. That here just to see who is the lead car on a flying lap. Looks like James F1 is he's validated this one as well. So he's not going to be able to set a time. Only 14 seconds left in the session. He's going to be starting 14th. Looks like HK is going to be starting 13th as well. Miles, fastest middle sector for him. Can he potentially take pole off of Ryan 97? He set his time of 103.0. He has about 2 tenths to make up, holds it through turn 9. Mercury goes second fastest. Can Miles nick the two of them? And he does. A 102.7 from DXT Miles to take pole. Mercedes. It's a fantastic qualifying from the Red Bull. Can DJ Danny validate his lap, take it off? Well, no, he can't. Liverpool Ewan rounding the final corner. Can he potentially work his way up the pack even more than he is? He does. Third fastest for the McLaren. And that looks like how things are going to end. The Ferrari, Piziato, doesn't look like he's going to be able to set a valid lap as well. Gravity, the last man on track. Can he potentially move up from 9th? He does not. That will do it. DXT Miles on pole by almost 3 tenths of a second, making up almost half a second on his previous time, Luke. That is an absolute flyer of a lap.
That was a fantastic lap. I watched it more for the duration of it. And we were talking about maybe drivers getting into the 1-2s, and he's done that. The only driver, yeah, he is the only driver to get into the 1-2s. So he's going to be really happy with that. And in first place by Ryan, the only thing to take his car on track for the race, is really going to have to push to try and get points for his team.
Basically, wait, I think Sir Sharks is going to have to retire from the session. We're just going to have to wait for this clock to count down. But it just shows, doesn't it, the pace that all of these drivers have. And you see there, the spread from 9th to 1st, under a second. And we'll go through the grid here. DXT Miles on pole for Red Bull. Ryan 97, who had it for most of the session, will start second. Right behind them, Liverpool Ewan and Mercury make up the second row, with Buckley and DJ Danny joining them. Matty Banter will be accompanied by Sir Sharks, with F1 Gravity and Kuziatu making up the top 10. Darnell and Rimac, the final 2 drivers to set times, because HK James F1 will start 13th and 14th. And as we saw about halfway through the session, starting 15th will be Fair Moto, who crashed out during qualifying and also didn't set a time. With rain on the way, Luke, this could be a very, very tense start.
Yeah, it all depends on how good the drivers are in the wet, because we've seen the qualifying there, and they're all really close. So it's going to be down to who's good in the wet, who makes the least amount of mistakes, and who could stay out of any potential damage or danger from other drivers, and hopefully they'll push up the grid. So Yeah, a safety car not out of the question here. And if a safety car comes in early, then yeah, it's going to affect the tyres and everything like that. So important to get a good start, stay out of crashes or anything like that. So yeah, important for a good start here.
And I think it's going to be the run down to turn 3. That's going to be the important one here. Who can potentially trust the intermediate tires? I would assume that's what we're all going on. It doesn't look like a bunch of standing water on track as of now. But it's going to be who can squeeze each other out heading into turn 1, and who has the inside line going into turn 3. Or potentially, Luke, do you think the outside line might be better going through there, just because you'll have more track to work with and more traction to work with?
Well, yeah, that's definitely an option, but they've got to be careful with the curbs. Curbs are quite big on this track, so if they go over them, especially in the wet, they are going to spin out. So they've got to be aware of that. But yeah, go around the outsides, definitely in turn 1 and turn 3. They have got a good option there, but they will get they might get a warning, which will definitely affect them further on for penalties and stuff like that. So yeah, they've got to keep that in mind as well.
Waiting for the green light to ready up. First wet race of the season. We didn't have a wet race until about halfway through the season last time around. And to already have it here in race 2, I think it's just adding early drama that I think a few drivers probably wouldn't want to have, because there's always those little nuts in the grid that love driving in the rain. Personally, not one of them, but I think it's really going to show that even your one-lap qualifying pace, it's going to really be how do you drive in the rain, who can feather that pedal a bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Same as me. I'm never a fan of driving in the rain, especially this early on the season when you're not really 100% confident in your car and everything like that. So yeah, but like you said, there's going to be a few drivers who love driving in the rain and have practiced loads in the rain on this track, and hopefully it will show who's practiced the most on the wet. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, we have the green light to go ahead and ready up on the grid. Hopefully everybody is ready, and hopefully HK has his setup on, because he really didn't get into qualifying at all, so hopefully he is in good shape there. HK, it's a tale of two Red Bulls, isn't it? Because you have one that seems to be doing extremely well here early on, and the other, which just so happens to be last season's champion, can't really seem to get it going in qualifying. Finishing just outside the points last week, as well as the formation lap is underway. That's the lead Red Bull leading the pack, but I think going back to HK, it's a really surprising start, I think, from in terms of just really the fact that he was champion last season, didn't pick up a single point last season. He's starting 13th here today.
Yeah, it's a shame for Red Bull, especially with the Mercedes driver not being here as well. They want to pick up points, and with HK 13th, it's just got to climb the formation lap. But no, it's important for Red Bull to really push up the grid.
Well, they're not going to do it that way. I'm just trying to make out what may have happened. Potentially collide with each other?
I'm not sure.
It doesn't look like they even. It doesn't even look like they get off the grid. I don't know if they will choose them disqualifying. First, I have no idea. Is that going to be disqualification for the wins, or is that just disqualified from the formation lap? I have absolutely no idea.
I think hopefully for them it is just a formation lap, but even so, the formation lap is very important just to see what the track is like. But that's a real shame for them, especially if they're disqualified from the race.
It's still showing them on the grid, so I would assume they are able to take part, even though they won't be able to take part in the other 13 drivers getting heat into their tires and into their brakes as well. Looks like they're still on the grid, so fortunately for them, it looks like they will be okay.
Yeah, good for them. That's really good for them.
Grid forms up once more. It's a fantastic shot at the top of the hill. I absolutely love this camera angle. You can see absolutely everything going on. The green flag waving, ready to go here. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Racing in the rain here in Austria. Miles gets away well, but it looks like a car in the back is at an AlphaTauri. Gets an extremely good start. It's the Mercedes up the inside of the McLaren, has the inside line. It's Ryan 97 that holds on to 3rd place. As of now, Buckley down into 4th, Danny all the way up into 5th as well. Rimac has found his way into 10th position as well, and Sir Sharks falling down the field as well, but Miles has gotten a fantastic start. And you can see there, Liverpool Ewan challenged by the AlphaTauri, who has the outside line, and Buckley up now into 3rd place, closely followed by the Red Bull, or the Renault of DJ Danny, who has the outside line. Can the McLaren squeeze in there? Looks like he's going to try to hold on to it. Liverpool Ewan down into 4th place. Buckley making up a few positions on the opening lap, but DJ Danny doing just the same as the McLaren and the Renault fight this one out for 4th place. Matty has fallen down to 11th position as HK looks to make up a couple of spots as well. James F1 all the way down into 15th as well. As things stand, as we are about to end lap 1, it's Miles from Ryan 97 from St. Buckley. Ewan has dropped down the order ever so slightly, with DJ Danny picking up a few places as well.
That's a great start from Miles. Really, he's out of the 2nd gap already. Well, there's no DRS on this track, but what a great start from Buckley. As he's just, I don't know what's happened there. Has he gone into the pits? Or has he spun there from Buckley? I'm not sure what's happened there, but a really good start. Oh no, my grid's going completely insane like it did last week.
Yep.
But no, really good start from Miles and Buckley there.
Looks like there's all sorts of battles happening into turn 3. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see exactly what line everyone is taking through there. It's going to be interesting to see. Is the inside line favorable? Is the outside line favorable? We'll just have to wait and see for that one. As you can see, the dry line beginning to form for these intermediate tires, and the grid is absolutely all over the place right now. But as things stand, Miles from Ryan from Buckley still closely followed by Liverpool Ewan and DJ Danny. Are you showing lap 3?
There is something's happening here, but no, it's all good on my end.
Something has gone wrong. We'll do everything we can to keep things tidy. Indeed, Ryan 97 looks like he's lost a bit of time to the AlphaTauri behind. He's going to have to stick with no DRS because we are in the range. The drag reduction system won't be able to be used. And HK up into 10th position now. As that inside line heading up to turn 3, can he potentially hold on to that and stay out of the way of Rimac? A little bit of contact with the Alfa Romeo. HK up into the points he hasn't seen since last season, is now all over the back of Rimac as well. This could be a fantastic double move from the Red Bull. Holding that outside line, trying to squeeze the Renault to the inside. Has the move done. HK up into 9th place, and you see the leaders, Luke, are just fanning out like crazy. Miles 1.7 seconds ahead of Ryan 97. There's something going on with that Mercedes because he's dropping time like absolutely. He's dropping time like crazy. Buckley is gaining on him quite quickly. I wonder if he might have a little bit of wing damage.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I didn't get a good shot off the start of the first corner, but Miles is absolutely fine, and Buckley is captain Ryan, and hopefully Ryan can stay in P2 because he had such a poor start last week. It was a better start for him this time. Spot people behind him. I think Miles is absolutely fine. Out of reach to him at the moment unless he makes a mistake. But no, Ryan's got just still.
Challenging the Alfa Romeo was a bit lost in the backstory because of the championship duel. Miles had the lead getting it off because he's just going to be absolutely blasting ahead. And we're now with Toretto, who was the Predator, is now the Prey, because the Racing Point of James F1 is about to be battling him for 11th position. Good start from most. No wings taken, doesn't look like. So we are now on to lap number 5. Started on pole, still leading the race. Buckley into third position for him. Fairmoto looks like he's gotten past Darnell at turn 1. It looks like they were just watching Miles. It seems like the outside line, Luke, is kind of a favorable one. You see him run just a little bit deep through there and really take advantage of the dry line.
Yeah, it's very important to stay up to the dry line now, because if you got so much grip, maybe even spin out if you're not prepared for it, especially on the curves as well. It's a really good curve on the track, like I mentioned earlier, with absolutely flying. He's already got 2 seconds with 5 laps gone, or over 2 seconds now. So he's going to just continue this, make no mistakes, and if it continues like it is now, then he'll be hot for the win. But like I mentioned earlier, the safety car is definitely a possibility, so yeah, he's got to be aware of that and safety car pretty excellent.
He was moved down the inside, goes the Racing Point of James F1, battling it out with Ryan McNally. A little bit of contact in through turn 10 they go as well. James F1 is just going to show Ryan off the track into the 11th. Goes James F1 and Darnell into the pit lane as well. Both Ferraris have gotten past him. Wing down for the climber. They show him into the pit lane. He's well adrift of the rest of the field. HK battling it out with the other Racing Point. This is a battle we've seen a few times in the past. HK up into 8th position, so they're not setting a ton of qualifying. He's made up about 5 places in the 8th place for the Red Bull.
Yes, great start from HK. He's got to continue this again as much as he can. As his teammate is in P1, he's not going to want to, get any lower than P5 really. He's had a qualifying, but no, he can continue his current form in this race. And yeah, P5 is not a question, or even better if it's a safe car or crashes or anything like that. But the top 3 are a bit out of reach of anyone else at the moment, especially Miles out front. But yeah, he's going to continue how it's going. Hopefully he can get in a couple of positions in this course.
Field spread here. From Darnell, if we exclude him, so from Miles down to trailing for 27 seconds, the front 3 just blasting away from the rest of the pack. 2 seconds separating Buckley and DJ Danny, and commanding lead for Miles. 2.3 seconds now, 2.4 seconds for the Red Bull, with his teammates still cutting his way through the field. He's meant to come up on the back of the Alfa Romeo of Mercury. Under half a second is that gap. These Red Bulls just have a little bit more juice in them this week than they did last weekend. HJ is taking full advantage of that, pushing his way up.
Yeah, it's good for HK, but I was looking at Darnell at the back there. Did have a quick change, there wasn't damage there, but he's going to want to have back as quick as possible because the field spread is quite big, so it's not going to be too much in terms of quicker drivers, so it's not really great for him to have a wing change this early on.
Really what he wanted to have this early in the race. A good safety car would be a good sign for him. Still getting onto the back. Has a fantastic exit out of the first corner. Can he potentially have a look down the inside at turn 3? Will be later on the brakes. It looks like he's going to try to have a look tucked back behind this time around. Knowing HK, he'll probably have yet another look heading down into turn 4. Not too far back on this occasion. Currently on lap 8. He has plenty of time to get this move done, but he's also going to see everyone in front of him begin to scamper away. The gap from Mercury to Gravity, 2.5 seconds, so he is losing time behind the Alfa Romeo, which is not going to help his cause. I would assume once HK gets into free air, he'll be able to close that gap a little bit quicker. But he has to get this move done first.
Yeah, he's going to want to get this move done as quick as possible, because if it takes much longer, then the gap between him and gravity is going to increase. So he's just going to want to get past as soon as possible. He's going to have a little go here into one. I think it's a little bit too far away to go towards the inside, but maybe turn 3 will be the answer. But HK is definitely going to get past Mercury as soon as possible to try and catch up to the rest of the group.
Defending well here because that didn't close at all. He got better traction out of turn 1. Just leaving the Red Bull just still in his wake. You can see there that he's just not quite getting the drive out of the corner that he needs. HK just can't quite find his way past. I wonder if HK a little bit of frustration probably going to start building there, because he's been behind Mercury now for at least 2 laps. He's going to want to get past quite soon. A little bit out of shape heading through turn 6. Managing to hang on to the cars and head down the hill once more into turn 9. This is where he's made up a lot of his time. He's just made up 2/10 of a second there. Danny sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:13.5 from him. He's pulling up onto the back of the Alpha Tower in front of him. Still on board with HK, who now might have the drive out of turn 1, potentially get a move done, heading into turn 3. Defending extremely well, almost matching his lap times is the Alfa Romeo. Just not allowing any, really any opportunity for HK to get past.
Yes, like you mentioned, and that's definitely going to be a factor now. But what he's got to keep patient. He's got to think about the whole race. If he just sends down the inside, he could damage the car. That's going to put him right to the back, and he would take out Mercury himself. So he's got to be patient and wait for the opportunity, because he's got to think about the entire group as a whole.
Well, a few more battles are forming out on track. Buckley and Danny is about to start flaring up here, probably in the next few laps. Danny, the fastest car out on track. He does have the fastest lap here on starting lap 11. Sharps is going to have to start defending 9th place from the other Alfa Romeo. His teammate for help as well. Strategy going on here. Can Sharps potentially back up the Alfa Romeo into his teammate and allow James F1 to get past?
Well, yeah, that will be the plan, but he's going to be focusing on himself, especially after last week. He didn't have.
Oh, and here goes HK looking down the inside at turn 3. HK has the move done. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, but HK finally getting past the Romeo and is already over half a second ahead.
Yeah, that's a great overtake there from HK. He'll be happy with that. He can push on now towards gravity, but going back to the Sharks, just gets overtaken there, which is a shame. But he had a poor race last week. He's not going to want to have a crash or retire like he did. So he's going to want to get back on Matty, who finished in the points or podium last week. So yeah, a shame for him to get overtaken, but get back as soon as possible.
He's about to be overtaken by his teammate as well. He's got James F1 breathing down his neck. You wonder if they might try to pull the old switcheroo as Sharks picks up a 3-second time penalty to simply add insult to injury in what is currently the lead racing point. How long that stands, I have to wait and see. For the current Constructors Champions, it's not looking very good here in race number 2 for them.
Yeah, especially with their teammate Ryan Simmons not being in.
And down the inside goes Sharks, really sending it. They make a little bit of contact with the Alfa Romeo. I don't think that was very intentional from Sharks. Worked out for him.
Yeah, nearly did. Like we mentioned before, he tried to do the inside there, but nothing comes of it. You've got to be patient, especially where, because if you send it inside, take out someone, you've got a penalty, you've got disqualification, and you've definitely damaged your car, and then your race really. So you've got to be patient here, but he's got his teammate right behind him, he's going to have that in the back of his head, so he's going to get away from both drivers here, but see if he can make the move on Matty. Yeah, he's definitely got to be careful going into corners.
HK's progress. He's fallen down the field ever so slightly, but there's a 1 second gap on the Alfa Romeo behind him, which puts both Alfa Romeos in an interesting place because Mercury is in this interesting spot where he's not really attacking anyone, and he's got his teammate behind him, almost acting as a rear gunner. There's maybe yellow flying. Is that for Darnell? It looks like it is, as the Racing Points are going to do battle here heading into turn 3. It's James F1 who is now the lead racing point. So, kind of confirming my suspicion that the switcheroo is going to happen at some point, because it does seem as though James F1 is of the two racing points.
Yeah, it's the same from Sharks. He's not had the best few laps. He's been overtaken twice, and one of them was by his teammate. So he's going to be frustrated with that, and now out of the points. So he's going to want to stick with James F1 and Matty, so that's a real challenge for him. But we'll see what he's made of here, because that's definitely going to be a kick in the teeth, being overtaken twice in 2 laps.
This battle on track now is between Buckley and Danny, who has just dropped back to over a second behind the AlphaTauri. So things beginning to calm down. Don't have the oomph in that Mercedes engine that pace. I don't know if it's in the wet that they're struggling or just simply with pace in general. It's not really worked out for them here the second weekend of the season.
No, it hasn't. And Sharks chopped off those from his teammate. And, well, James F1's not really looking to overtake Matty unless he makes a mistake. So, yeah, it's a shame for the Racing Points. But at least they've got one person in the points. So they'll be happy with that. But Sharks is falling back quite a lot. It's got up to James F1 there to try and put the pressure on the Alfa Romeos.
Pit window will probably start arriving soon. We really expect the Inters to go about 22 laps. Ryan 97 taking the fastest off with 113.1 from him. The gap from Miles to Ryan 97 is still now 2.7 seconds. So with that fastest lap, it doesn't really put too much of a dent in Miles' time, because the Red Bull is just putting in consistent quick lap times.
Yeah, it's going to be important for Miles and Ryan to look after the tyres, especially Ryan's not going to want to get Buckley or Danny, because Danny's definitely putting on the pressure on Buckley now, but yeah, tyres definitely going to be a factor, as they've got, well, some of them could even extend the 22 laps, but especially the ones who have been battling on track, like the Racing Points, the Alfa Romeos, their tyres are definitely going to be more worn than the front runners, which is definitely going to be a factor coming into the end of this race.
I would assume here probably 5 or 6 laps, probably less than that, 4 or 5. We could start to see some fresh intermediate tires go onto some of these cars. But for teams like Red Bull even, that are still a little bit too close to make that work, someone's going to have to extend and potentially risk a few seconds of time doing that as well, because fresh intermediate tires are about 2 seconds fast. 20 lap olds. Intermediate tires is a big lock up there for Buckley heading into turn 3, and now DJ Danny can really put the pressure on the AlphaTauri as he's closed to within under half a second. You can see there the Renault really pushing forward. Is he going to have to look down into turn 4? He's still a little far back. That battle is going to really be heating up here in the next few laps. We have just under 20 laps to go, or lap 16 as of now. See AlphaTauri of Buckley and DJ Danny battling this one out. 2 Racing Points have fallen down the order ever so slightly into 10th and 11th. No retirements so far. Darnell had a bit of an incident, and there is the pit stop from Buckley, who is into the pit lane. So he's going to trigger everyone else, and let's see what the top three, which now includes DJ Danny, elect to do. Fresh intermediate tires going on. It is fresh intermediate tires going on for Buckley, so obviously no changes in track conditions. He's going to have to down. Looks like he's going to get out ahead of. He's going to be battling an Alfa Romeo here. He's just gotten out behind him, so he's going to have to clear this traffic somewhat quickly if he wants to make it work and get back ahead of DJ and Danny. Have to really wait and see. He's already closed a 0.3 of a second gap to the Alfa Romeo in front of him, so he might have to get past Luke in a very unopportune place, but to make his strategy work, he's going to have to find a way to do it.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a bit worried now. He's had an early pit stop to try and push the gap from himself and Danny, but Danny's got fresh air. The front runners come into the pits, but Danny stays out. Danny's going to take the lead of this race, and he's going to have fresh air, so he's really want to push to the limits, try and get the position over Buckley, but Buckley's going to be a bit worried now, especially getting stuck behind Matty Vanzer.
He's still behind him, the AlphaTauri. As his teammate heads into the pits, Mercury, DJ Danny now leads this race. HK has gone up into fourth ahead of his teammate. This could be somewhat interesting between the two. They've had their moments in the past with each other. That was on teams. There's a few more pit stops. Mercury, Sharks. Looks like we've had yet another spinner. Is that Darnell once more? It is Darnell once more. It's not been the day for the McLaren, has it? It's going to be subsequently probably lapped here by DJ Danny, who is just now approaching turn 9. As Darnell headed into the pits, it looks like he is, so fresh tires for him. Almost made that strategy work. As DJ Danny staying out once more. So now we'll have to really keep an eye on Miles. Miles is going to get past, as is HK, who's peeled into the pit lane. Liverpool Ewan into the pits as well. Gravity into the pit lanes as Buckley sets the fastest lap, so 1:13.0. That's going to be the time that DJ Danny potentially get out ahead.
I'm surprised to see that, Yeah, I'm surprised to see that
the gap is under 14 seconds.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that Danny hasn't pitted yet. He's the only car on track who hasn't. It'll be interesting to see if he does pit this lap. But Buckley's setting the fastest time. He's definitely putting the pressure on Danny. Danny's going to have a good pit stop. It's going to be really close between those two.
Miles is closing that gap ever so quickly. 9.5 seconds between the Red Bull and the Renault. Is this now? It does look like DJ Danny into the pit lane, and to keep an eye on, it's not going to be Miles or Ryan, it's going to be Buckley. Is he on track? He's just about to come around turn 9. DJ Danny makes his stop. Can he maybe execute the overcut to perfection? Miles gets past. Ryan 97 gets past. Where will he come out? Will he come out in front of the AlphaTauri? Looks like he might. He's going to come out behind Buckley, so the overcut doesn't quite work out for DJ Danny. He's going to find himself quite a ways down than he was before. Remember that gap when Buckley went into the pit lane was under half a second. The gap between them now, 2.3 seconds. So it hasn't really worked out. It looks like we have another spinner. So Sharks looks like he has either faced the wrong direction once or twice. I guess in the rain. When it rains, it pours for Racing Point.
Yeah, it's a shame for him. He just hasn't had the best race so far. I saw him in his pit lane and he did quite a change. So he had contact around the track. So yeah, it's just a shame for him. He will get lapped in this race and Malc catching up, which I'm sure he will. He's going very wide. there. There's a short mark to overtake fairly shortly, but Sharks is a shame for him. But looking at the penalties there, as Buckley's picked up one, that might really affect things. There's been quite a lot of penalties this round, maybe not as much as there was last week, but definitely a huge to keep a note of.
DJ Denny known for not taking many penalties, that could definitely come back into play. We were missing Sharks earlier. His teammate James F1 is under pressure now from not one, not two, but three cars. And both Alfa Romeos are about to be climbing all over the map of that race. We would have DRS, and they would probably already be past. So James F1, even though well in the rain, is probably thankful that DRS is not enabled. Might not stop Liverpool Ewan from getting past at turn 3. Potentially send it down the inside. James runs a little bit wide there. That's been kind of the story all afternoon for Racing Point, but he does get a very, very good drive. Does James F1 out of that third turn to turn 4 now. This is going to be a little bit of a train that forms behind James F1. This battle for 7th, all within a second and a half of each other.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, but I'm looking at HK at the moment. He's gaining time with F1 Gravity there, so it'll be interesting to see if HK gets into 5th. There is quite a big gap between 5th and 4th, but if HK can get into 5th and push on past F1 Gravity, then that's a pretty good result for him, as Danny's got quite a big gap between him and the car behind. So Gravity's going to want to get the overtake done quickly to see if he actually can catch Danny, but that'll be very difficult. But P5 would be a great result for HK.
Well, I don't know if you saw it. DJ Danny, currently the fastest car out on track, of 1:12.2. And we were mentioning the gap when they came out of the pit lane. That was about 2.5 seconds, under a second now from the AlphaTauri to the Renault. So this is going to be a very, very tense final 14 laps for the final podium position. Right 97 seems to be ever so slightly closing that gap to miles in front of him. But the gap from Right 97 to Buckley really seems to be more and more each lap. That could very well change, because with DJ Danny onto his gearbox, he might have to get a little swift kick and get a move on. Oh, there's a McLaren that has gone right into the wall. He completely lost it out of turn 10. That might lead. Safety car here, and the safety car has been deployed. Well, this could really, really spice things up. He's made their stop. It is going to compress the field once more. So, right out of turn 10, Darnell just he looked like he got on the power just a little bit too early. Completely got out of shape, and into the wall he went.
Yeah, shame for Darnell. We never really got going. He had to pit stop early and replace his front wing, and then spun and had to pit again for a new front wing. So, yeah, not the greatest races that he retires. But he has triggered a safety car here, which is really going to make things interesting, especially for Buckley and Danny, and definitely front two, Miles and Ryan. Top 4, and even, well, we talked about HK earlier, he could really push up against that battle for the podiums here if he can get past Gravity after the restart. But before the safety car, we were looking at Danny, and he's got pressure tyres only by 2 or 3 laps, but we'll see if that makes a difference coming into the end. I don't think it will, but it's always something to keep in the back of your head.
Well, Rimac has peeled into the pit lane for fresh intermediate tyres, as have both Ferraris. So those 3 drivers all going to be looking at those minor points places, because nobody inside the top 10, at least as of yet, has peeled into the pit lane. So some differing strategies, Luke. It's going to be interesting really to see as James F1 pits from 7th position, see exactly how this all plays out. This looks like an all or nothing shot for Racing Point. Both drivers pitting. Just trying to put as much pressure on those at the front that they can to get as many points as they can potentially take away from this race.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that not many people are pitting in this race. Well, the safety car, sorry. And yeah, Yeah, we're definitely very close towards the top now that all going to be all bunched up. So yeah, it's going to it's going to be so interesting on the restart. It's all down to Miles to try that gap like he did from the start. But Ryan, Buckley, and Gravity and HK are all going to be pushing to see if they can grab podiums, especially if someone makes a mistake after the restart.
I don't know about you, but I am more than ready for our first DJ Danny HK battle of the season. Those are all the entertaining to watch at the end of the last season, simply due to the title implications, and they could come into play once more, but his Miles from Ryan 97 from Buckley is your top three now. As we'll wait for the rest of the grid to move up behind the safety car.
Yeah, and those cars that are pitting are going to take their time to manage their tyres, especially those from the safety car. There's no reason to rush to the safety car, so they're going to be managing their tyres, and that could be definitely a factor to play. Because you're looking at James F1, he's got 6 laps worth of fresh tyres on Mercury, so we'll see if he can catch up and get the overtake.
And could that pace disadvantage that the Racing Points had behind the Alfa Romeos kind of the entire race be wiped away with that strategy call?
Well, yeah, it could do. It all depends on, well, we can never tell on F1. You know, someone could spin and there could be another safety car. So, yeah, who knows? But, yeah, that's definitely going to play to the hands of James F1. He's going to obviously start right behind Mercury. And his teammate, Matty, said that a Racing Point is right behind his teammate, ready to pounce. So, it's going to be interesting to see the Alfa Romeo, see if they can just hold James F1 off.
One more lap under the safety car. As, looks like both Ferraris are taking their sweet time to I'm curious to see if Sharks will be allowed to unlap himself. He's currently sitting in the safety car queue, a lap down. I'm interested to see if he's going to have that opportunity to unlap himself and rejoin the back of the grid, or is he just going to have to make do with the blue flags of the cars behind him?
Yeah, it'd be very handy for him if he can make his way through it. Just trying to fly, try and get as fast as he can to try and catch up to the packers. I'm sure the safety cars are going to come in this lap. But
he's gotten the drive-through penalty for trying to go through. He's gotten another drive-through for speeding under the safety car, so he's passed under yellow flags, and he's gotten another drive-through for speeding under safety car. So you see the safety car is in this lap, so some Sharks are out to dry here. But, back at the front, Miles. The safety car coming in this lap. Now it becomes essentially the safety car is going to slow down here a little bit to. Rymax is going to pick up a 5-second penalty for presumably going into the back of James F1. Miles is currently the safety car. The safety car is not even close to coming in yet. They're about to launch right onto the back of it. He bunches the back up. Nice and tight does the Red Bull, and now gets things underway once more. It's a little bit wide out of there, but Miles has gotten a great jump on the rest of the field already of a second ahead of the Mercedes as we are racing once more here in Austria. Buckley is going to come under a little bit of pressure from DJ Danny heading through turn 1. Fairmoto has already gotten past Rimac as well. Miles has gotten a great start off of the safety car and has really hung out to dry. Ryan 97 as Danny down the inside makes a little bit of contact with the Alpha Tauri. Buckley holds on for dear life that third position. Renault now breathing down his gearbox. Potentially have a look down into turn 4. He is going to have a look. They make contact once more. Buckley locks up. This overtake he wanted to do, but he got the move done in the end. DJ Danny up into the podiums once again. So Sharks into the pit lane, presumably to serve his drive-through penalties and adding salt to the wound. 5-second penalty, and there is the retirement. Not a good day to be in a Mercedes. Luckily, he's going to have to find his pace once more to keep DJ Danny within his grasp, because he's falling down ever so quickly. Rymac in the pit lane, as well as HK and Gravity are about to duel. This one out for 5th place. Behind is the Red Bull, has the slipstream, has plenty of slipstreams from AlphaTauri. Oh, that's a crash! That's a big crash. HK right into the back. Oh, that's another crash as well. It looks like James F1 got caught up in that one as well. Into the wall. Safety car deployed once more. Was that Sir Sharks' car going extremely slowly? He retired in the pit lane as his car come back out onto the track and caused that collision.
Well, I'm not sure. You'd think if he retired, his car would be ghosted. I'm not sure really how that worked. But a massive crash there, and it's caused another safety car. We talked about it in the previous safety car. That there'll be another one, as both racing points are now out, and HK, who was sort of gaining a lot of positions, is now out as well. That's a shame for him. But no, tyres are really going to cause a great deal of time here. As Buckley's on 10 laps. It'll be interesting to see if he pits. I doubt he will. There's not only 8 laps towards the end, so we'll see if there's any other position changes towards the end of this race.
Well, Rymac was in the pits when the safety car came out, and the safety car actually picked him up for a second. He's now gone past the safety car and we rejoin the back of the grid. Remember, he had that wing damage with James F1 and that 5-second penalty, so all of that nullified for Rymac, which is really going to help him out, and he would really push on for a healthy dose of points here as well. Doesn't look like anybody else in his pit lane. Fairmoto into the pit lane as well is going to come out ahead of Rymac. He's going to come out well ahead of Rymac. It looks like the safety car has picked up the rest of the field.
No, we'll have a look at Rymac there, because he pitched at the perfect time. Really, he's no need to do another pit stop, and I'm sure Fairmoto and Rymac are really going to want to push onto the points. It's going to be a real dogfight between Fairmoto and Rymac for a points position. But I'm sure Fairmoto and Rymac will try and push further into the points, maybe to an 8th or a 9th. But the Alfa Romeo's really shown a lot of pace in this race, so they're not going to give up their positions easily. But Rymac and Fairmoto are really going to want to push now.
Well, how this race has turned on its head with just over 6 laps to go. We're about to make it 6 laps to go once we come across the line this time around. I'm sure for HK, very, very strong race. For James F1 as well, who was actually he probably got the strategy right, even though he didn't have the pace. All of that eliminated as he got caught up in HK's wreckage, who got caught up with James' teammate.
Yeah, how now from when it was like before the first safety car, it's completely different from 5th downwards, or 6th downwards really. But what's going on there? Is Liverpool? Buckley's dropping lots of positions there. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Do you know anything about that?
Looks like he's lost it in the haircut. I have no idea how that's managed to happen. He should be able to regain his position. I wonder exactly what his plan is. The safety car's in this lap, so if he's going to get to the front of the pack once more, he's going to have to do it now. He's not going to have very much time. It's just a dagger for AlphaTauri, because they're off for a fantastic result. But on the flip side, McLaren could potentially be on with their one driver remaining in the race for a dose of points.
That's a real shame for Buckley. As I say, as Miles is about to push off there, talking about Buckley after the start, is Miles has a great start there and pushes from Ryan.
Well, Miles gets a great start, but not as good as the previous safety car. Right 97 trying to reel him in once more. 0.6 of a second into the gap, Buckley into the pit lane. You wonder if he had a collision maybe with another driver. That is retired from the session as well. So what was a very, very good day for Buckley and AlphaTauri. His turned, well, not very good in the end. And the other AlphaTauri, F1 Gravity, has Ewan for company. This battle for 4th place. Rimac has gotten past Ferramoto. They'll battle that for 9th place. He's going to potentially take advantage of Ewan's eagerness to overtake. Trying to go around the outside in turn 4. Now he's going to have his teammate to fight with. Mercury gets past. Danny has gotten past Ryan 97 as well for 2nd place. DJ Danny, we've seen it plenty of times in the past, benefiting from timely safety cars, and he's done it again. DJ Danny up into 2nd place, and he's going to have quite a task to get past Miles for the lead of this race. Gravity 3/10 now behind Ryan 97, who is falling down the order. He's falling away from the front two. It's not been the cleanest of days for Ryan 97, even though he has been in a very, very good position for most of this race. It looks like Gravity is falling away from him ever so slightly. But it was extremely worrying there for the Mercedes for about 2/3 of the lap.
Yeah, it's a shame for Ryan. He was comfortably in P2 before the safety cars. He's really dropped there. It's quite surprising to see. I thought, you know, I was expecting a fight between Danny and Ryan, but not that early. Extremely early from the overtake. We'll see if he can catch up and re-overtake for his position. But it hasn't really worked out for Ryan. The overtakes, I'm sure he would have taken a P2 with Miles so far in front. But yeah, shame for Ryan, especially that he's the only Mercedes running for this race. So yeah, he's going to let the team down a tiny bit, but hopefully he can push on and try and get Danny back.
Well, the gap between the front three, really the gap between Ryan 97 and F1 Gravity, 1.2 seconds between the two of them. So you can see once more the front three have just pushed away from the rest of the field. The two Ferraris have worked their way all the way from 13th and 14th qualifying all the way up to 8th and 9th. So a good performance from them with now 3 laps of the race. Squeezing out to pull up behind the Alfa Romeo. We're here now for the battle for 5th place. Mercury and Ewan. He's had a good race himself. He's worked up a few times. He's now pulling onto the back of F1 Gravity as well. So this battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is probably going to rage until the end of the race. So a little bit of hope there in turn 4. This time around, he's nearly pushing that AlphaTauri around that corner as well.
Yeah, the AlphaTauri is really holding this group up. I'm sure none of them are really pushing third. I'll be surprised to see it, but it'll be really interesting if we can get that 4th position. Like you said, great races over the Alfa Romeos. They've been behind one another pretty much this whole race. Stayed out of each other's way. There was a little time there a few laps ago where they overtook each other, but other than that, they kept well out of each other's way and use their positions as an advantage, try and push them up and gang up on us. And it's interesting to see the Alfa Romeos and the Ferraris, the only 2 teams who have got both drivers still in this. But Alfa Romeo doing really well there, and I'm sure they'll be happy with 6th and 7th. But if they can push up onto Liverpool Ewan, as Mercury is doing here, he's trying to overtake around the outside. And has he done it then? No, he has. It's going to be really close. But Liverpool Ewan comes out on top. Mercury's really going to have a go again. Liverpool Ewan is going to make it really interesting.
We're going to have to take our eye for a second, because here's something we haven't said all day. The battle for the lead. DJ Denny has reeled in Miles. It hasn't been done all day. It's happening now with just over laps to go. Under half a second is the gap from the Renault to the red. Miles defending from Danny. 0.6 of a second. Miles looked like he was such in control, and that's the second safety car come back to bite him in the end, with his teammate crashing out, causing the safety car. Come to Miles in the end, 0.6 of a second he has pulled on DJ Danny for 4th and 5th. Seems to have cooled down ever so slightly. So it looks like Kiziatu is going to try and overtake Matty for 7th place. As I mentioned before, the Alfa Romeos seemed glued to each other this entire race.
Yeah, looking at Dan there, he's had a wonderful race, hasn't he? I mean, even if he doesn't get this P1, it's still a fantastic race from him. He stayed out of trouble, he battled with Buckley and managed to get on top of him. Even though he tried to extend his tyres, it didn't work out, but he managed to get on top of Buckley's mistake. But Dan had a great race, now he's putting pressure on Miles, which, well, we weren't thinking that at the beginning of this race. Miles really had a great start, really pushed him. The gap was 3 seconds to most of the great distance. Danny putting the pressure on, and that's got last lap now, really. We'll see if Danny can really push and see if he can get this position. It's going to be interesting.
Half a second separates the Red Bull and the Renault. We've seen this battle before as well. Miles and Danny battling it out for the win. Miles had a great pit straight there. He's gained almost a 10th and a half on the car behind. 6/10 is the gap now between the Red Bull and the Renault. 7/10 now. You can see Miles using that overtake to pull away from DJ Denny, who's kind of milked his a little bit too early. Miles went into conservation mode, it seems, a few laps before he was ready for the battle at the end of the race. As Mercury is... Oh, is that Liverpool Ewan falling down the order as well? It is Liverpool Ewan falling down the order. He had a terrible turn 3, it seems, as he comes through turn 4 now. But eyes back to the front. Almost a second is that gap now between Miles and DJ Danny. Well, we thought the safety cars might have worked out for DJ Danny. It has worked out for DJ Danny, but not quite all the way as the rain begins to lash down here in Austria once more. As he begins to round the final 2 corners. Can he keep it together? Turn 9, yes. Turn 10, yes, he does. DXT Miles is going to come across the line. Win here at Austria. DJ Danny holds on to 2nd place. Ryan 97 fell down to 3rd on the final laps. Crowley taking 4th. Kiziatu for Ferrari all the way up into 5th. Liverpool Ewan taking 6th. Alfa Romeos taking 7th and 8th as well. Fantastic race. For most, disappointment, heartbreak for Racing Point. It's safe to say that was probably, well, between the races we've had between last season and this season, definitely one of the races that stand out simply due to the conditions and kind of the events in the final half of the race.
Yeah, it definitely made it interesting, didn't it? Especially with 2 safety cars so close to each other. But Miles will be happy with that. He did deserve it. He had a great lead from the start. But Danny definitely put on the pressure, especially after the 2nd safety car. But Miles, in my opinion, deserved the win there. But Danny, what a fantastic race that's for him. No penalties from either of them. But no, they'll be happy with that. I think Danny and Miles, great race for both of them.
Well, DJ Danny, who was about 6/10 off of the qualifying pace of the leader, managing to claim 2nd place all the way from P6. So a good race from him. Mercury actually dropping down all the way to 8th position. You can see there confirmation of the times, and DJ Danny is also going to take home the fastest lap as well, because he had to. A good performance from Ferrari. Ferramoto picking up a point as well to get Ferrari's points total probably to where we expected it to be. Because he had to with that 10th place finish last week. But Ferrari on the board in a much more commanding way this week.
Yeah, we're joined by Miles here, the race winner. Miles, how do you think that went for you?
I think it went very well. I think I led every single lap, except from the pit stop spot. I felt confident, happy with the car, and overall it was a good performance.
Yeah, how did it feel with Danny after the last safety car? It was getting quite tense between the two of you. Were you afraid that Danny was going to overtake you, or do you think you had it covered?
I felt I had it covered. I felt I was good in the traction zones. I felt he was very good at turn 1, but after that, I felt he couldn't get me anywhere, so I wasn't really worried that he could overtake me.
So, final question for me is a win today for you. Do you think a title challenge is on the cards?
Yeah, definitely. I think after last season, I had quite a few inconsistent finishes, but I finished the season strong, so I feel like I can challenge this season.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Miles. Wish you all the best for next week. But no, really good race from you today, and in my opinion, you deserve the win. So well done.
Thank you.
Do we have any other of our podium finishers in here as well? So, do we potentially have DJ Danny in here?
I'm just gonna get him in now. I've just sent him an invite. We'll see if we can get him in.
Fantastico. Ryan 97 should be hopping in as well. We'll have to wait and see on that as well. It seems the discussion seems to be, at least in the driver's chat, that HK couldn't see the racing point coming out of the pit lane, even though he shouldn't have been coming out of the pit lane. He was, and that is the cause of the incident. Obviously, he ran into the back of him and ended up taking out James F1 along with him, so just adding misery to Racing Point, who at this point last season would, well, they were really pushing their way up there in the Constructors' Championship. Now they're just struggling to get on the board.
Yeah, it's a shame. The safety cars didn't really work out for the Racing Points there, but it did work out for someone. That was DJ Danny. DJ Danny, how do you think that went for you?
All right. I mean, I was there or thereabouts pretty much for the whole race. I mean, lap one was probably a good lap for me because I did make up a few positions on my starting position, and I mean that's where I mainly made the time, and then obviously just not getting any penalties meant that I could not have to worry too much about cars behind me, but I took the opportunities when I did to get P2 and obviously decent points on the board.
Yeah, and you gained up so many positions. The safety cars were really helping you out, but towards the end you were really putting the pressure on the race leader Miles. Were you looking at P1 there, or were you happy with P2?
I was hoping. I knew Miles was quick in a straight line, and the problem was I could get close to him, but into turn 3 and into turn 4, I just didn't have the straight line speed to get past. So I was trying, but obviously there's only so much you can do because I had quite a high downforce setup. Obviously, knowing that the rain was going to be for the race, that I kind of prioritised the race over qualifying. But obviously still got a decent qualifying position, but my straight line speed was just a bit too low to make moves, which is why I struggled in P4 for quite a bit of the race until I managed to get past Buckley. It was a bit of a forceful pass, but it was one you have to go for the move.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're happy with. I think Buckley had a spin going into turn 3, which I'm sure really played into your hands, which meant you could really push on to Ryan and to the leaders. But no, great race from you, and P2. I'm sure you were taking that before the race. So well done.
Thank you.
Do we have who else are we waiting for? Do we have Ryan in here by any chance?
Not at the moment. I've just sent him an invite now, see if he can get here. We'll talk to all the podium cities. But it's interesting to see that Miles really happy with his lead. He didn't really seem affected by P2 or anything like that. So, command victory for him.
Well, and I think it really kind of puts things at a head with kind of everything in perspective. Obviously, Jewel not here this week, so he didn't really have a chance to defend his championship lead. Miles will assume the championship lead. He'll have 27 points to his name. But I think it's I think it's important to talk about Renault as a whole, because we have DJ Danny, who's going to be taking, what would it be? I'll be right, if I can do math in my head, he'll be right in the middle of Miles and Jewel. But I think Renault as a whole, with Rimac included, themselves and Red Bull could be very, very difficult teams to really knock off going forward, because they do work so well with each other. HK and Miles and Danny and Rimac, obviously teammates last season at Red Bull, or at Renault rather, so they know how to work with each other. They know each other's tendencies, and even with Rimac maybe a little farther down the pack than you would like, we know that he's got the pace to pull, I wouldn't say with his teammate, but probably very, very close to him.
Yeah, certainly. But we're joined by Ryan here. Finished him. Ryan, how did you? Seems he's having a problem with his mic there. I'm not sure what's going on there.
There we go. Hello.
There we are.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Hi Ryan. How do you think that went for you?
Honestly, I'm very happy with that, to be fair. Since I was going in not knowing what strategy or what pace I'd have, so I was quite happy with my qualifying, for starters. Miles was just too quick. Then the race.
Yeah, no.
But then for the race, my first stint wasn't quite up to scratch. Miles got away, and I got a pen, which didn't help me. Then obviously the second stint, I slowly caught my way back up to Miles. Then them two safety cars just messed me up, really, for the second place.
Yes, P2 looks right in the bag for you before the safety cars. I'm sure you were a bit surprised with Danny's pace as he sort of whizzed past you after the second safety car. What do you think he?
He had the newer tyres, didn't he? He pitted a few laps later, so that's probably what helped him there. And plus, I was pushing on the second stint as soon as I pitted, so it probably didn't help me in the end. I just thought I'd let him go to see if he could do something with Miles, to be fair. Didn't want to fight too much.
Well, he certainly gave him a battle towards the end. But what would you say? Are you happy with P3 there, or were you a bit disappointed?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm quite happy with P3. Upwards and onwards, as I say.
Well, that's good. Good to hear from you, and it's good to see that you're happy with P3. Everyone seems happy with where they finished, especially in the podium. So, wish you all the best for the next race.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Well, that next race being this time, same place next weekend at Zandvoort. First time that we will be featuring the Dutch track. But until then, for myself, for Luke, that is round 2 of the Invictus Racing League over here on the Xbox. Miles is your race winner and assumes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Can he keep that next week? Tune in to find out. But until then, bye-bye for now.